strength.
When big names talk, they talk to the BBC.
Now, Poland's President Duda says the current worsening global energy crisis is hitting European countries hard because of their misguided policies of relying heavily on Russian oil and gas over the years. The Polish leader visited the African continent last week in an attempt to boost relations with the continent and explore alternatives to Russian oil and gas. Also discussed were agriculture and defence. Now, there was a bilateral agreement signed between Poland and Nigeria that will pave the way for more Nigerian oil and gas exports to Poland. The BBC's Ishaq Khalid began by asking the Polish president for more details of the agreement when they met and had a chat.
The Memorandum of Understanding was concluded on cooperation in agriculture, including modern agriculture technology and bilateral exports and imports. Also food supplies and food exports in both directions, from Poland to Nigeria and also exports from Nigeria to Poland, serves to strengthen the effort. Added to this is cooperation in biotechnology and generally in natural sciences, also nature conservation. And additionally, there is, of course, cooperation in the field of defense and energy. As previously mentioned, when there have already been the first deliveries of oil and LNG from Nigeria to Poland over the last few years, something which is now crucial.
At the beginning of the conflict, there were allegations of racism and discrimination against people from Africa and elsewhere. In Poland, people were turned back trying to cross, and they say it was because of the color of their skin.
In general, they were in vast majority students who studied mainly in Kharkiv, Ukraine's major university center. They were fleeing the war because Kharkiv was under attack, and they were among the hundreds of thousands of refugees on the Polish-Ukrainian border. The whole problem lasted no more than 2 weeks in total. We received thanks from India and from Nigeria. The issue was resolved. Very few students were harmed. Unfortunately, a few were killed amid war hostilities. In general, it was a very trying moment, which fortunately was resolved, and help was provided to all those who needed it. Let me reiterate, it has not involved any racial harassment. There was a problem of people on the run.
Recently, we can see Russia is expanding its presence in Africa in the area of security, for instance, and China also in the area of economy, infrastructural development. Some feel that the Western world is losing out in Africa. Do you feel so, given the growing ties between African countries and China as well as Russia?
I think Africa should act very prudently, should be sensitive to Russian propaganda, no matter how efficient and misleading, often completely misleading. As a matter of fact, this is an imperial policy, and it would be good that people in Africa understand it, that this is a new attempt at colonization. And this is what Africa should guard against, avoiding partners who want to devour everything, who want to have a hand in every aspect of African economic life. A genuine partner involves itself only in certain aspects and treats its cooperators with respect. This is a basic principle.
So do you think your economy, Polish economy, and the economies of other countries in Europe can survive and thrive without Russian oil and gas, given the high dependence on Russia?
At the moment, new gas contracts are being concluded. For example, with Qatar, with the United States and other countries that have LNG, that can sell it being gas-producing countries. Talks are underway with Nigeria. And this will be the option for Europe, in my opinion, to achieve a 100% alternative to Russian supplies within the next few years. Ultimately, it will backfire on Russia. But today, the Russian weapon is actually effective. It is plunging Europe into crisis.
And that was Poland's President Duda speaking to our correspondent Ishaq Khalid. Well, let's turn our attention to Mali.